What is up, trainers? Season 2 of Kardmi is out and absolutely brings some incredible content. In this video, we're going to be diving into my first impressions, what I like, what I really like, where I think the game really shines. But this may surprise, a lot of you who've been fans of the channel for a little while now. There is something that, with the launch of this season, that I really do not like. It is a bizarre decision made by the devs that I think fundamentally holds the game back from growing, and we have to talk about it because, guys, we've got to get this addressed. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Like I said, there's a ton to love in Season 2 of Kardmi. Let's go ahead. I'm going to start with the things that I really enjoyed. And take a look at this cutscene. The story, just like Season 1, the narrative is some of the best I've played, not only on a mobile game, but any game recently. It has a tremendous narrative team behind it, and props to the team over there at Seven Pirates, because, like I said, this narrative is out of the park, just like Season 1. You're sitting there scratching your head from the time you drop into the world to the time you finish, which, like I said, I'm on Island 2 right now, but you're just scratching your head, like, what is going on? And they do such a good job of carrying that curiosity from milestone to milestone, where you'll get some small answers, some small breadcrumbs and clues of what's going on, only to kind of, what I imagine is going to happen, really piece it together at the end, just like we did in Season 1. And then, in addition to narrative, I think the design for these Kardmi, and I said it before Season 2 came out, and I'll say it again now, the design is stellar. I have not seen a single Kardmi from Season 2 that was added that I did not love the design of. I think they're all super unique. They're all really well done. Small critique that since they're all the new ones are ice types, you kind of can't really have a team consisting of mostly new ones, because then you leave yourself open to, counters. But that's just a small thing. The legendaries, I really like Manatic. I really like Kobark. I'm not sure the name of the third one right off the top of my head, the Mammoth, but I really like all the new legendaries, especially Manatic. I think he's probably the coolest Kardmi in the game. His signature move, Mantis Punch, again, probably one of the coolest moves we have in the game. Now, like, the legendaries are always, pretty much out of the park. I think all of the abilities from last season, Pikagares and Survivans and Genelex, all of them had really beautiful animations to see unfold full screen. But this one, it's just a little notch above. Like, it's quickly become my favorite move, and I'm excited to see the other two and their respective unique moves. And not even just unique moves, the new skills that are involved in the season. I've seen some of them. I don't have a ton of them yet, but I do have, like, Ion Fist or Ion Punch, and I have a Frost Fist. They look good. I like them. I mean, they're very well done, and from what I've seen, well, in terms of meta and balance and stuff, they're not game breaking. They don't completely destroy like what we had in Season 1. They're balanced very well. They have their place. The freezing mechanic is also a very good status effect. It has its place. It involves you having to actually think, and it's a fun way to incorporate that in your strategy when you go in to do street battles or do any like the Black Pagada or arenas or anything like that. So again, that's another massive praise that I want to heap upon these devs, because you can tell all the hours and hours and hours of love and care that they've put into this expansion this season. And I want to just shout them out, because Season 2 is a banger. It's great. The only bad thing I have to say is not even about what Season 2 entails, because I think everything in Season 2 is so great to the point of where I've played. I'm super excited to get to, the third island, get to the fourth, work my way through the campaign, and really kind of piece together the story, because, like I said, this is definitely, especially out of Monster Tamer games, has such a complex and interesting story. And I'll give you a little brief rundown in case you haven't played season two yet. So basically, you wake up, you're reincarnated, and what it almost like reminds me of is kind of like the multiverse. You run into some Team Nirvana people, or Nirvana team people, the main bad guys from season one, and you look at them, you're like, hey, ready to throw down, throw some hands, and you realize that in this reality, they're not bad guys. They're actually on your side, and they're actually Kardmi researchers, and I think that's so interesting because it adds another layer of depth to these characters, and really the mystery of the game entirely. Because you're like, man, what is going on? So you're investigating these weather anomalies and how these Kardmi all of a sudden are becoming more aggressive towards people for some unknown reason, and that's kind of the story of season two. And I can't wait to see how it unravels and how what is unveiled at the end, and how it ties back into season two, and excuse me, how it ties back into season one, and how it will further progress in season three. With all that out of the way, though, I do want to go ahead and jump into what I have such a big issue with. And it's something that completely caught me off guard until my wife started trying to jump back in the game again and play again. And that is this. I I absolutely do not think it is a good idea to lock players out of new content. And someone has greenlit the idea at Seven Pirates that you need to first complete season one to then play season two. And that's not a good idea. I don't want to come across too critical, but it's really, really going to hurt player retention because you're going to see some players, you're going to see this video, they're going to see cutscenes from season two, then they're really going to want to jump in, they're going to want to catch some of these new card me, and they're going to sign in and they're going to realize, I can't play season two. I can't get my hands on Ventertig or Kobark or Manatic, and then they're going to bounce. You're going to have a small fraction of them. They're going to be accepting of their fate. And they're going to be like, okay, well, I'll play, but I don't understand why I can't capture these card me right now. Why they're not showing up for me. And then you're going to have the majority of them that are going to bounce. Like I said, my wife jumped in the game, and she saw some of my card me, and she's like, "Those are really cool. I want to catch them." And she played a little bit of season one. She made it past the first arena. But since there's not a whole lot to do together, it's not a very social game right now. I'm hoping that changes in the future. She didn't play much, and I didn't blame her for that. And so she wanted to come back in season two, gave the game another shot, only to find out that her server no longer exists, and she had to start completely over, which she was going to start over anyway from level 1, but she was still going to have her characters in the card she had caught. At least, that's what I thought. But no, she apparently you had to reach a certain threshold for your progress to even be saved on season one, and then even if it's saved, you still have to progress in season one to even make it to season two. And there are time gates in Kardmi that I have in the past vehemently defended, like the Battle Cafe fiasco and stuff. People don't like the fact that there's a limited amount of energy for the Battle Cafe, and that it really slows down how quickly you can level and thus progress the game. And I, in the past, have argued that I agree with time gates. I think you shouldn't be able to run through these games and in a few days and speed run them. I think those people who run through the content that quickly are the first to kind of come back and be like, well, there's nothing to do. This is a dead game. The problem is, though, when you have those time gates and then you do what you did in Season 2. So now I'm going to keep using my wife as an example. So, starting from the beginning of Season 1, with the time gates in place, you're asking her to play this game for months. Like, for someone with no kids and, no job, more spare time than what she has, maybe a few weeks, maybe a couple weeks. But for someone busier like her and us, you're asking her to grind months to even make it to season 2. And then, on top of that, I would have to kind of, wait for her. I wouldn't be able to play my game that much either while I'm waiting, which it's not about that. But whole point is she can't access the new content until she sinks a couple of months, 2-3 months into the game. That's not going to go the way you think it's going to go for your player base. Like I said, I can't tell you how many people are going to jump into your game expecting new content seasonally, not be able to access it if they haven't completed the previous season and bounce. That's not a good idea. But instead of just saying it's not a good idea, it's not a good idea, want to pitch two solutions that I think really, really make a lot of sense and would help you guys retain your players. Because Seven Pirates, at this point, I am speaking directly to you. So where things get difficult is the fact that the narrative is tied so deeply to the seasonal reset. For example, if you didn't play season 1, you would have no idea what was happening in season 2. You'd have a little, molecule of idea, but you wouldn't really understand fully. So I think my main idea is this. If you take the season 1 and you give the option for players to skip entirely. And now, I know I just said that the players wouldn't understand what was going on, but I think if you do like a kind of a brief previously on option or pop-up, it'll go a long way. Because my vision for the game is, you sign in for the first time, you do a tutorial mission, a short, 5, maybe 10-minute tutorial mission, and you then get the pop-up. Would you like to play Kardmi Season 1, or would you like to skip directly to Kardmi Season 2, 3, whatever season we're on? And then, if they decide to skip, they are greeted with a small cutscene, or however you want to do it, that it serves as a previously that shows what's been going on in the Kardmi universe up until this particular season. That way players can jump directly into the content that they want, and that they want to play, what sparked their interest to begin with, and not have any risk of that player bouncing because they couldn't access the content they wanted to. That's one option, I think, and I think that's the ideal option. But there's the other option of, if you don't want to add a skip feature, which again, I highly, highly encourage that you do. The other option is adding the ability for these servers, for Season 1 servers, once a new season drops, the previous season servers could get a massive boost, maybe 300 to 400% XP boost on their servers. That way, these players could really speed through, really chop in half or in a quarter size how long it would take them to progress through Season 1. That way they can hurry up and jump into Season 2. They'd still have to wait a little bit, they'd still have to grind a little bit, but at least they wouldn't have to grind for 2-3 months to be able to reach the end of Season 1. And then finally get to jump into the Season 2 or Season 3 or whatever. Because let's play this out. Imagine you're not just 1 season behind. Imagine you're 2 seasons behind. All of a sudden, you're looking at potentially 6 months of gameplay just to access new content. That's crazy. That is never going to lead to player retention. And I mean, I know that's a little bit harsh to say, but that is just the cold water, and I have to hit you with it. There has to be an option, whether it's skipping entirely and adding recaps, which I think, again, is the way to go, or adding significant boost so that players can power through the previous season's servers. But guys, that is all I have for you. I would love to know you guys' thoughts down in the comments. Maybe you guys have a solution that I haven't thought of, but you can't. This system that the Seven Pirates has in place is not sustainable for the future of the game. And as someone who's partnered with the game, as someone who loves the game and wants to see the game thrive in the way that I know it could, because it is the best creature tamer game I have played probably in my life, honestly. It's such a good game. And I want to see it continue to grow and be successful, especially on that 1.0 launch. So if you guys have any suggestions for them, down in the comments, let me know. Let your voice be heard. And I thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.